I want to show you how the book of Habakkuk comes to an end. Really, it's kind of an amazing way for this book to end because God has shown Habakkuk that he is going to discipline the nation of Judah, and it's going to be terrible. Babylon is going to come and wipe away the people of Judah and take them captive. And Habakkuk hears this and he's in horror, but really his response is what we're going to see in this last chapter of the book, and it's amazing. What's amazing about it is that Habakkuk is terrified by what he hears. You can see that in verse 16 where he says that his body is trembling and his lips are quivering and his legs tremble. But what he says is going to be amazing. He's going to express not his anger, but his loyalty to God. And that's a lesson that's helpful for us today. Let's remember what's going on in this book. Remember, Habakkuk complains to God here in chapter 1 about all the evilness going on in Judah, and then God responds and says, oh, I'm not being lazy or idle. I'm going to do a work. I'm going to bring Babylon, and they're going to discipline my people. Habakkuk hears this and he thinks, but God, he complains again, God, how can you use a wicked nation to discipline us? How is that right? And God responds in chapter 2 and he says, oh, Habakkuk, but I will discipline Babylon in just the right time. And so the way this book ends here is Habakkuk's response in chapter 3. And it's a response of loyalty. Let's talk a little bit about this response. This whole chapter, it's in the genre of a prayer. You get a sense for that here in verse 1. It says that Habakkuk is writing a prayer. This is a prayer of Habakkuk, and it's actually a song. It's according to Shigionoth. Now, what in the world is that? We don't know exactly, but this language sounds very similar to the language of the Psalms, where it's according to a kind of an instrument. So perhaps a Shigionoth is an instrument, or it could even be a musical style. But this whole chapter is a prayer, and it's something that is to be sung. Notice this over here in verse 19. The last phrase of the book says this, that it's to the choir master with stringed instruments. So perhaps the Shigionoth is a stringed instrument. In any event, this song of praise is how Habakkuk responds to God. A couple notes about the structure. You kind of have three sections. In the first section, it's kind of the introduction. And then in this middle section here, Habakkuk recounts the mighty works of God, the mighty ways that God has disciplined his enemies, poured out wrath on his enemies in the past. And then in verses 16 to 19 here, we get Habakkuk's expression of loyalty to God. And the whole point of this last chapter is to say, God, I submit to your timetable and your plan for the ages. Let's take a look at each section. First section here, we notice that this is a prayer, and it's according perhaps to this instrument or to that style of music. Interestingly, Habakkuk the prophet is named again. It's like he's trying to say, these are my own words. In verse 2, Habakkuk says something very interesting. He says, I have heard the report of you and your work, O Lord, do I fear. Remember, that word work is interesting because all the way back in chapter 1, remember what did Habakkuk complain about? He was complaining, God, why are you so idle? But this chapter is going to be Habakkuk recounting all the ways that God has worked in the past by disciplining his enemies. I've heard about your work, and he wants God to revive it and to make it known. He says this phrase here, in wrath, remember mercy. Habakkuk realizes that God is going to discipline Israel, the Jews, and he realizes that God's wrath is coming, but he's saying, God, but still remember mercy. Okay, that's the first little intro. Now what we find in kind of this main middle section is Habakkuk is remembering all the ways that God has disciplined his enemies in the past and fought for Israel. And so it's actually a difficult passage to interpret because it's so poetic. But what you're going to find are a lot of images referring to God's actions in bringing Israel out of Egypt and how God disciplined the people of Canaan as God brought the people into the promised land. Here's another note about the structure. In verses 3 through 7, you find words about God. And then in verses 8 through 15, Habakkuk addresses God. These are words to God. That's another important point. Okay, let's take a closer look and see what Habakkuk is talking about as he recounts God's work. He says this in verse 3, God came from Teman and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Now, that is not a specific reference to Mount Sinai, but these places, Teman and Paran, these are places from the south. And so kind of the idea is when God brought Israel out of Egypt into the promised land, he came from the south. And perhaps the image here in verse 3 and 4 is describing God's power came like a massive thunderstorm. That's how some commentators interpret this phrase here. His splendor covered the heavens. It's like a thunderstorm comes. That's God bringing his might and his power and his people into the promised land. And his brightness was like the light rays flashed from his hand. And so perhaps the idea is God's coming like a thunderstorm. Verse 5 talks about this. Before God, went pestilence and plague followed at his heels. Now, I think that's a reference to Egypt. Remember, God had brought the pestilence and the plagues on Egypt. I think Habakkuk's remembering that. And God is disciplining the nations like Egypt and Canaan. And all he has to do is look. He looked and shook the nations. And by the way, I love that. What does God have to do to terrify the nations? He just has to look at them. That's all. In verse 7, it says this, I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. These are places around Egypt and from the south. And so it's kind of recounting God's discipline came from the south as he brought Israel into the promised land. Now, as we come to verse 8, Habakkuk is speaking to God. So notice all the words are you and your here. And so Habakkuk is addressing God head on. And verse 8 is very colorful. He's remembering, I think, the way that God, when God's disciplining Egypt and Canaan, a lot happened to the water. He says this, was your wrath against the rivers, your anger against the rivers, indignation against the sea? In what way were rivers affected when God brought Israel out of Egypt? Well, remember, God cursed the Nile and so that it turned to blood, and he stopped the Jordan River so that the people could pass through. And it's kind of like God came on his horse and on a chariot of salvation and brought Israel into the promised land. And it's kind of this imagery here is how God, it's like he's taking out his weapons. He stripped the sheath from his bow. He called for the arrows, and everything is terrified of God. The mountains saw you and writhed. Mount Sinai, by the way, quaked when God came to it. And then in verse 11, I think we hear a reference to the conquest. It says, the sun and moon stood still in their place. When did we see that happening? Well, in Joshua chapter 10, the sun stood still from Joshua's perspective. It stopped in the sky and allowed them to defeat their enemies. And verse 12, again, it's just all this image of how God marched through the earth and disciplined the nations. God is bringing salvation to his people. He's disciplining the wicked. He's crushing the wicked and laying him bare and piercing him with his own arrows. And so this is a terrifying thing. If you're the one on the receiving end of God's wrath, that is a terrifying thing. One more image here. I think this is referring to how God parted the Red Sea. You trampled the sea with your horses, the surging of mighty waters. What a poetic way of describing how God parted the Red Sea. It's a terrifying thing to be on the receiving end of God's discipline. But here's the thing. Now who's on the receiving end of God's discipline? It's not other nations like Egypt or Canaan. It's Israel. It's Judah. And so as Habakkuk reflects on that, that causes him to tremble. And that's what this last section says. My body trembles, my lips quiver. It's like rottenness. My bones have become rotten and my legs tremble. As Habakkuk thinks about the discipline that's coming when God raises up Babylon, he is terrified. But I want you to notice, this is really in many ways the climax of the book. I want you to notice what Habakkuk does. First, he responds with patience. He says, "Yet I will quietly wait for the day of trouble to come upon those who invade us." He's realizing, I'm going to submit to God's timetable for justice. God is going to judge us first, and then he's going to judge Babylon. And I will patiently wait for that discipline to come upon Babylon. I think this shows us Habakkuk is convinced that God is still a good God. And then these verses, 17 to 18, are so amazing. Essentially, he's saying, God, even though everything fails, yet I will still praise you. He talks about how though the fig tree won't blossom, even if there's no fruit on the vines, even if the olives fail, even if the fields have no food. We see here these references to fields and fruits. But even if it's not just that fails, even if the flocks are cut off, and even if there's no herds in the stalls. So he's saying, even if there's complete barrenness, what will my response be? Even if there's complete barrenness, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. What we find here is nothing short of a miraculous faith. Habakkuk sees that God is going to judge Judah, and yet he says, but God is good. And even if that all comes, I'm still going to be loyal to God. I'll still rejoice in the Lord. Two things can be true at the same time. You can have your knees trembling with the thought of what God will allow, and you can still be loyal to God. I think we see something, by the way, very similar when Jesus, on the night before he's crucified, he's sweating drops of blood, and yet he says, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Okay, now the book ends with verse 19. He says, God, the Lord, is my strength. That's where his strength is going to come to make it through this discipline that's coming. He says, he makes my feet like the deer's, makes me tread upon my high places. Remember, his legs were in verse 16 trembling, but now they're steady as a deer on a high place. God is the one who gives him strength. And so what you have in the book of Habakkuk is really this beautiful picture. Sometimes God disciplines even his own people, but God is just and his timetable is right. And the right response is the response Habakkuk had in chapter 3, is to sing a song of praise and say, God, your will be done. Thank you guys so much for joining us in our journey through the book of Habakkuk, and I hope you will join us again next time.